Imagine thinking that you had your crypto game plan all sorted out, and then an industry insider drops four words that shakes everything. Don't sleep on XRP. Now, he had 130 billion reasons for that warning, and it absolutely blew my mind. That's right. One of crypto's well-connected veterans basically told us that we're all overlooking something huge with Ripple's XRP. And it got me wondering, have we been focusing on the wrong things while a giant quietly wakes up? Now, in the next few minutes, I'm going to be taking you on a personal journey through that realization that I had. We're going to explore the billion-dollar moves that Ripple is making right now, some of which left me stunned. I'm going to share a quirky side project that I'm testing that actually pays me in XRP whilst I sleep. And I've got a limited time way for you to actually snag some free XRP. Yes, free XRP that you just won't want to miss. So by the end of this story, you might just see, XRP in a whole new light, because you know what? I do now too. So let's set the stage. This wake-up call, it came from a recent episode of the Unchained podcast. The guest was Chris Perkins, the president of a crypto venture firm called CoinFund. Now, this isn't some random Twitter shouter, is it? This guy is a serious investor. Now, during the conversation, someone basically asked him, what's something that people are missing about Ripple? And without skipping a beat, Perkins goes, you really can't sleep on Ripple's XRP. Now, he made that super clear that he wasn't giving financial advice or telling anyone to go out there and buy XRP. But he was sounding the alarm that Ripple's position in the market deserves serious attention. So hearing that from him, I had to do a bit of a double take. Why such urgency about XRP of all things? Then Perkins drops some numbers and some facts that hit me like a splash of cold water. First, he pointed out that XRP's market cap is now over $130 billion. Yeah, $130 billion. Now, to put that into perspective, that means all of the XRP in the world right now is worth more than the market value of some Wall Street giants. In fact, he compared it to the CME Group and Intercontinental Exchange, the company behind the NYSE, the New York Stock Exchange, which are around $90 billion each. Now, XRP is bigger than both of those, so just let that sink in. And no matter what you kind of think about XRP, the kind of valuation, it puts it in the top tier of the entire financial world. And as a result, XRP has actually climbed back to being the third largest cryptocurrency by market valuation, right behind only Bitcoin and Ethereum. So when I realized that, my eyes widened even more. I mean, Bitcoin and Ether are always hogging the spotlight, but XRP is quietly up there in the podium positions. And I'm going to be honest, I hadn't really felt that, at least how huge XRP really was, until I heard some of those stats. Perkins didn't actually stop at the numbers either. He also highlighted what Ripple, the company, has been doing lately. Now, for one, Ripple is gearing up to distribute a new stablecoin called RLUSD. Now, you probably haven't heard much about it yet, and neither had many other investors, but the fact that they're actually launching this stablecoin, when they launched it last year, means that they are expanding their ecosystem, and they are looking at trying to find new ways to help the cross-border issues. And, just basically expand their ecosystem beyond, just simple XRP cross-border payments. And then, of course, there's the Hidden Road acquisition. Now, Ripple went out and acquired this company, Hidden Road, which is a prime brokerage company. Now, if prime brokerage means makes your eyes kind of glaze on over here, just think of it as a fancy way for financial institutions, the big kind of players, that use that for trading. Now, for crypto analysts, the crypto analogy, it kind of might be something like Coinbase Prime, but Hidden Road here is more like a traditional finance outfit. So, Ripple, they scooped it up. That's a pretty bold move, isn't it, right? It's kind of like a tech startup buying a bank. It shows that Ripple is not just content, being a payments token. They're actually looking to try to build or buy an entire empire. Perkins basically said, look, Ripple has a whole ton of capital to deploy. No kidding, with the market cap and the war chest that they've got, of course. And if they do execute things well, their whole ecosystem could become formidable. Now, in his words, Ripple is very much on the offensive right now, right? Now, that phrase, it kind of stuck with me here, on the offensive, right? They're not, playing defense, they're offense, right? So it's not casually building, it's massively building. So it kind of feels like after years of fighting regulators and all the naysayers, Ripple is now charged up and making some rather aggressive moves. Now, at this point, I am nodding along, getting excited about XRP's prospects. But then another voice in the podcast cuts in with a bit of a reality check. This is Austin Campbell, right? A guy who's deep in the stablecoin and banking world, basically responded, okay, Ripple's got money and it's got momentum, but do they have customers? Now, in fact, he said he used to see Ripple as capital in search of customers. So that's a pretty spicy take, isn't it, right? What he really means is that Ripple might have all of this money and this technology, but the big challenge is actually getting people to actually use their stuff. And he kind of does have a point. You can build the best kind of mousetrap in the world, right? But if no one's buying it, does it really even matter? Now, Campbell honed in on the new stablecoin angle. Now, he explained that for any stablecoin to really make it, distribution is going to be the secret sauce. So think about it this way, right? The stablecoins that rule the world, things like the USDT, the USDC, right? They didn't just win because they're well designed. They won because they spread everywhere. Exchanges, wallets, businesses, you name it. Distribution has almost always been the winning thing. And he put it like that. So RLUSD might be technically awesome, but how will Ripple get it into people's hands? Now, Campbell noted that the biggest stable coins, especially those over $20 billion in valuations, all have ties to major exchanges. And Ripple isn't exactly running a top retail exchange. So if anything, Ripple has historically been a B2B, business to business focused company dealing with banks and enterprises, not directly with retail consumers. So maybe they'll try to roll out RLUSD through bank partnerships or corporate platforms. That could work, but it's a different path than, let's say, slapping a stablecoin on Coinbase and watching traders actually use it. He also threw out a very interesting question that every XRP holder has probably asked at some point. Will the value created by Ripple's big moves actually accrue to the XRP token itself? Or is it just another Ripple venture and products? Well, in other words, if Ripple builds this amazing network with stablecoins and institutional partners, does XRP automatically benefit from it? Or could XRP just kind of be left in the shadows while other parts of the ecosystem takes the spotlight? You know what? It is a valid concern, right? If you're holding XRP and hoping that it's going to skyrocket, then you're going to want to know that Ripple is doing well, because if Ripple is doing well, it kind of equals that XRP is doing well. Well, the truth is that we don't actually have a clear answer to this one yet. Ripple is expanding in many different ways, and not all of them directly involve XRP, the token, even though XRP is central to a lot of what they actually do and is a part of their core vision. So I guess at this point in the podcast, we've got one expert saying XRP is a sleeping giant and you should not ignore it. And on the other side, you're basically saying, cool, but show me the users. And then there's a third voice that chimes in and adds yet another layer to the conversation. Now, this was Ram, who's a crypto finance expert, if you believe in those things. Anyway, he jumped in to kind of agree that distribution will be key, but he also expressed some real optimism about Ripple's strategy. Now, he specifically praised the Hidden Road acquisition, calling it one of the smartest moves that Ripple has made. He even compared it to the AOL buying Time Warner back in 2000. Now, if you're not a 90s kid, that reference might not land as well. Basically, AOL was the internet company that stunned everyone by purchasing one of the world's biggest media companies, Time Warner. Now, it was the moment that the internet world kind of took over the old media world, for better or for worse. Now, what he's saying here, Ram is basically hinting that Ripple is buying a traditional finance firm in a similar kind of game changer, or is similarly a game changer. A sign that the crypto world, Ripple in this case, is actually reaching into the territory of the old financial guard. Then you've got Teddy, the president of Bitwise, a big crypto asset management firm, added another really interesting point, right? He said that because Ripple has such deep pockets, they can just make these impactful acquisitions and investments, like buying companies that trade derivatives, futures, options, etc. Essentially, Ripple can just use its capital to bridge the gap between traditional finance and the crypto markets. And he emphasized that bridging TradFi with crypto is a major trend shaping the industry right now. We've seen hints of that absolutely everywhere. Banks exploring blockchain, crypto companies getting brokerage licenses, etc. Now, Ripple seems to be riding that wave in a rather big way. He also added that kind of gave a vote of confidence to Ripple's leadership here, saying that their executive team has the experience to guide the company through these transitions between the old financial world and the new one. In fact, he said that he wouldn't be surprised if Ripple emerges as a leader in the future given all of this. So, sitting here listening to all of this, I started connecting the dots. It became clear that Ripple isn't just doing one or two interesting things. They're potentially orchestrating a whole takeover in a rather good way of how actual value moves in the real world. And here I was, admittedly not paying that much attention to XRP for a while, right? I'm talking 2021, 2022, maybe even early 2023. It kind of felt like a personal oops moment, right? How did I miss that one of the biggest crypto players is basically gearing up for this new era? Now, to be fair, a lot of us get a little bit kind of numbed to XRP news over the past few years, haven't we, right? Ripple was stuck in that long SEC lawsuit, and XRP was delisted from some exchanges for quite a time. Now, the vibe, I guess, was kind of like, wake me up when it is all over. Well, guess what? It is over. A few months ago, Ripple's case with the SEC finally wrapped up. The SEC dropped its charges, Ripple paid a $125 million settlement fine, and the whole thing ended. So, Ripple got past that hurdle, and XRP even got regulatory clarity that it's not a security in the open market sales. So it's no wonder that Ripple is now unleashed to go full throttle. They've got the money, the legal clarity, and an open field ahead. It's as if Ripple has been driving with the parking brake on for years, and suddenly it got released. So, have I been sleeping on XRP? Well, I'm certainly not sleeping on it anymore, and I haven't done for a very long time at this point. But listening, just because I'm excited here doesn't mean that I want everyone to go out and rush out and buy a load of XRP and bet the farm on it. No. Let's be super clear on this, because I know that hype can get the better of a lot of us in crypto. Now, this one might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. Always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, now we've got that rather obligatory but very important disclaimer out of the way. Let's talk about what I'm actually doing with all of this information. Now, Perkins' words made me take XRP more seriously, yes, if that is even possible, but it also reminded me of something about my approach to crypto. See, I'm always on the lookout for new opportunities and experiments in this space. Sometimes that means exploring something a little bit off the beaten path while everyone else is looking at the top coins. For instance, lately I've been testing out a project called Unity Nodes. Now, I've mentioned this in previous videos, so some of you guys will already know the drill. But in short, Unity is a project where basically you can use your spare smartphone to actually earn some crypto. I actually went ahead and I did buy a Unity Master Node NFT, which came with 200 licenses. Think of those licenses as slots for devices, right? Now, I'm not setting up 200 phones in my house here, no. I am going to be testing out 10 phones to start with, as the Unity app has now gone live, just to see how things work all in practice. Now, the cool thing is that I can choose to be paid out in various different cryptocurrencies, and you can bet that I include XRP in my list, along with others like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and ADA, of course. So I figured, hey, if I can accumulate a little bit more XRP passively, then why not? It's just kind of like staking or mining, but with mobile devices doing all the work. Now, will it make me an overnight millionaire? Probably not, but if it is successful, it's going to be a great way to passively stack some extra crypto over time. Now, Unity, it is not the focus for today's video, so I won't dwell on it too much, and definitely do your own research on it if you are curious. I'm going to put some links in the description down below for their light paper and their rewards calculator for all those curious minds. Now, I'm not here to hype it up. I'm just here to experiment and share what I learned along the way. In fact, I did buy a second and third Unity nodes just so I can try something else out, right? To try the new concepts and kind of report back to all you guys. Now, with those extra nodes that I've purchased here, I am going to be leasing the licenses out to some of you guys who maybe want to test, Unity, dip your toes into the world of Unity without buying a full node for yourselves and having to manage 200 devices. Now, you could just basically lease one of mine. Now, we're going to have more information about how all of this works down in our free Discord. There's a link in the description down below. The Discord is a great place, by the way. Lots of smart people, in there asking questions, sharing insights and learning together. So definitely hop in if you haven't done so already. Okay, bringing it all back to XRP, here's why I brought up the Unity side, right? It's one example of me chasing new opportunities in crypto. And I realized while I'm off exploring some of these new frontiers, like a crypto Columbus or something like that, I should also make sure that I'm not ignoring established players that are also making waves under the radar. It's about balance, right? Yes, I love the bleeding edge stuff. It's fun and sometimes profitable, but not at the expense of sleeping on the top, 10 cryptocurrencies that suddenly are flexing their muscles. Now, speaking of not missing out, I do want to share that Kraken, one of the exchanges that I personally use, has this awesome promo that you can actually take advantage of to stack some XRP. Now, I've actually partnered up with Kraken to offer this just for you guys. So if you do sign up to Kraken through my special link that's in the description down below and trade $100 or more of any cryptocurrency, excluding the stablecoins, within 30 days of opening your account, Kraken will drop $25 worth of XRP into your account as a reward. Now, it's basically a free $25 in XRP for doing something that you might have done anyway. Now, this is a limited time offer, so you don't want to snooze on it if you are interested. And just to be totally transparent here, that link in the description is an affiliate link, which means if you do use it, it supports the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. That's what we would call a win-win. Now, I would say plus. Even beyond the bonus, right, it's just smart to have multiple exchange accounts set up. We've all seen exchanges go down or freeze when traffic spikes, right? Now, I've lived through all those Bitcoin bull runs where everyone and their grandmother is trying to trade at the same time. It's not fun for your only exchange when it locks on up. So that is why I keep accounts on several exchanges, things like Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, of course, BitGet, Blowfin, LBank, many others. And I do have a link in the description to my website, which lists all of the exchanges that I do personally use. Now, on that website, they are all affiliate links for the exchanges that I actually do use. Using those links supports the channel, but doesn't cost you anything extra. Okay, so if you, at least if you do have exchange issues, it's great to have a plan A, B, C, and D strategy. So if one exchange has some issues, I can just jump over to another one and not miss an opportunity. And testing them out right now with something like the Kraken promo means that you won't be scrambling to set up accounts during a market frenzy. It's kind of like having multiple tools in your toolbox ready to go. All right, let's step back and look at the bigger picture, right? At least for a second, right? We've got Ripple, an OG in the crypto space, making headlines again and possibly gearing up to be a key bridge between crypto and traditional finance world. Now, we've got insiders telling us not to underestimate what's happening with XRP. And at the same time, we've got all of these new projects and opportunities, things like Unity, new exchanges, new blockchains, new promotional deals, popping up all over the place. Now, it's a thrilling time for sure, but it can also be a bit distracting. Now, the lesson that I'm at least taking away from all of this is let's not get tunnel vision here. Sometimes the next big thing, it isn't a brand new thing at all. It might just be an older player rising up with new strength. I'll admit, right, I love the thrill of exploring new crypto projects. It's why I'm in this space and why it's always evolving, right? But hearing "don't sleep on XRP" from someone like Perkins was a jolt. It reminded me that the balance is going to be key, right? Pay attention to the up-and-comers for sure, and of course the established giants at the same time, because crypto history has shown that either can surprise you. I mean, think about how many times Bitcoin was declared dead, or how Ethereum was laughed at the very early stages, or maybe how people dismissed Cardano or others, right? Only to eat their words later down the line. XRP has been around for a long time, and plenty of people have written it off at various points. But here we are. It is huge. It's fast. It's moving value around the world. It has this entire company with deep pockets driving its adoption too, and it has an army of supporters who never gave up on it. Now that sounds like a recipe for something interesting. So here is where I'm at. I'm not sleeping on XRP. I'm watching what Ripple does next with great interest. I'm making sure that I have exposure to XRP in my portfolio, according to my own risk tolerance, of course. And I'm continuing to explore things that can complement that strategy, like earning passive XRP through that Unity experiment or grabbing that Kraken sign-up bonus. Whether XRP becomes the next all-time high champion or not, I don't know. I'm not here to make price predictions or tell you that it's going to the moon, but I do know that I don't want to ignore it and then regret it in a couple years' time. In the end, this whole journey has been about keeping my eyes open. The crypto landscape is shifting all of the time. Today's underdog can become tomorrow's overlord. And right now, Ripple and XRP have a lot of momentum that not everyone is paying attention to. Well, consider me paying attention now. So, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Stay curious, and I will see you all in the next one.